Hey guys, welcome back. It's Tisha here, and we're just gonna go ahead and get this thing started. 1,000 Pound Sisters, Season 4, Episode 5, The Greatest Thing Since Sliced Bread. I'm gonna tell you guys that there are gonna be portions of this review where you may not agree with me, and that's okay. Feel free to put it down in the comments section. But there were a lot of things that annoyed me about this episode, so just bear with me. We start off this episode with Amy trying to convince us that she's been eating right and exercising more now that she's seen the doctor. Gage is running around and she's questioning how she's going to be able to manage things now that she's going to have 2 kids. Chris shows up to help her plant a vegetable garden because one of the things she says she wants to do is eat better. And I think it's ironic that she decided to do this vegetable garden, even though I don't recall seeing Amy eat many vegetables, but we're going to let her go ahead and film the scene. Amy then complains about being pregnant and how she's going to do this, and she's sitting on the floor as she's planting, and I just can't help but feel like now is kind of late for you to wonder how you're going to do this when you were told multiple times by Dr. Proctor not to have any more children yet. You were told you shouldn't have had any in the first place, to wait until 2 years after your surgery and all those other things, but you didn't just plan for the first one, you planned for the second one. So I can't feel sorry for Amy in this, because this is another planned pregnancy. Amy and Chris are talking, and Chris begins to take out his extra skin and show Amy, and Amy talks about how it looks like a good chicken breast and all that other stuff, and that she hopes that Chris can get his surgery soon because she remembers that before she was pregnant, how bad her skin was and how loose it was and how it would rub against each other. I could be wrong, but I don't recall Amy ever complaining about her skin, nor do I feel like Amy lost that significant amount of weight where she was even being considered for skin removal surgery. I know that at one point we heard her being told by Dr. Proctor that she needed to lose more weight, but I don't even recall them really discussing the skin removal. As Amy's sitting on the ground and Chris is trying to help her up, I can't help but feeling like Amy doesn't even look pregnant. That to me, Amy just looks like she's, overweight. And if you're having problems getting up off the floor, I just can't imagine how you've managed to keep up with Gage, because he's going to be moving even more as he gets older. We then go to Tammy, who says that she's been in rehab for 8 months. We see her sitting in a wheelchair, and she said that now she walks close to 200 steps. We haven't seen this because most of the time when we see her, she is sitting in that chair. But we do get to see her climb up a set of stairs as well as climb down it. And I must admit, as well as the other people who were in the room, everybody was happy for her. And I was happy for her as well, because, and they did show a flashback where she wasn't even willing to go up a ramp. So to see Tammy now climbing up and down stairs, regardless of how many they are, that has to be a big accomplishment for Tammy. We then see Tammy call Dr. Smith and let Dr. Smith know that she is now 534 pounds, and Tammy is all smiles. I love this version of Tammy. This version of Tammy is very likable. You can tell that she's very excited. You can tell that she is proud of her progress, as she should be. You can see genuine happiness from her. And Dr. Smith is in shock. He even says that he's, speechless. He says that as far as his portion, that he approves her, but she can't really be approved until she gets clearance from other doctors, such as a hematologist, a cardiologist, a pulmonary person, her psychologist, etc. Once she's approved by those other doctors, then he says that it will be okay. He says he's going to do everything for her to set up all her appointments, get her final documentation in order, but he needs to have that sign off from the psychologist. He asks her if she likes her therapist, and she says yes, she does. And when she said this, I said, is she lying? Because if she's not, I'd hate to see how she treats someone that she does not like, because she's been extremely rude to the therapist from what we've seen. Now, I don't know if this is because she's being filmed or if this is what she really does, because for all we know, she could act differently when the cameras aren't around, but she doesn't seem to have a problem being rude. Tammy says that if it weren't for Dr. Smith, that she would not be at this point, that because of him, she was given the opportunity to come to this rehab place, and he kept fighting for her, and he did. I will say that if this had been any other doctor, they would have let her go a long time ago, because at one point, Tammy didn't want it. We then see Tammy calling all of her family members to let them know that she's approved for weight loss surgery, and I think Tammy jumped the gun a little bit on this, because technically she hasn't been approved. She just got her first, like, yes, as far as I'm concerned, you can keep going, but she hasn't been approved all around. The family says that they're proud. Tammy talks about her plans, where she basically wants to go and come down, see Dr. Smith, get approved, have the surgery, go back to rehab, and then come home so she can live her life. I don't know when and how things are going as far as Tammy's concerned. Spoiler alert. Once again, spoiler alert. But we do know that she is still currently in rehab. So I'm interested in what the timetable is and how long, because she does look slimmer, how long it took for her to actually get the surgery. But we'll see what comes of that. Tammy talks about how the devil tried to take her out and all that other stuff. And I struggle with people trying to blame the devil for everything, because we've all been through things and we all have our story. And in my opinion, we all have free will. So Tammy, some of this is on you. But if it makes you feel better to blame the devil, then have at it. Amy and Michael talk about how Gage is going to be once they have another child. Amy says that she doesn't know if he's going to be okay, because Gage gets jealous when she holds other babies, so she doesn't know what he's going to do with his own brother. And honestly, you won't know until the baby comes, because you just don't know. I know when my baby sister came along, everybody was so worried about what I was going to do when she came. They were watching me like I was going to try to suffocate her or something. And I really legitimately thought that that was my baby. Like, I loved my sister. I still love my sister. But her as a baby, oh, she was the cutest thing. And I loved being a big sister. And I loved being able to feed her and stuff like that. So they're a lot closer in age, but I feel like you just got to take your time and ease him into it. Don't overthink it. Just wait and see what happens. Chris comes over and she talks about how low the baby is and how Gage wasn't like that. Girl, don't get me started on the low baby. The baby is getting into position to come out. You might not have experienced it with Gage, but I'm sure many of us mothers can let you know that when they go down there, it feels like there's constant pressure. It feels like you're walking around with a bowling ball. It hurts sometimes. You have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes just to get a tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. There's a lot to it. So you want to complain a little bit, and I get it. You're at the home stretch. You'll be all right. Chris shows her that he got her a gator to cook it. I'll pass on that. He wants to do it as a celebration the night before she has her cesarean. The family has a cookout at the church. A lot of family comes. Amy talks about giving the gator feet to Gage. Let me tell you something. If Amy and Michael are not careful, Gage is going to be like them. Gage is not 2 yet, and they gave Gage a big size plate of food with it. Everything that they ate, it looked like he had on his plate. Y'all gotta calm down with these portions because the both of you are overweight. Make sure you don't pass it on to your child. Amy then is in the kitchen talking with her sisters about she doesn't have a car seat for the baby. She hasn't packed her baby bag. She hasn't really done anything. And it's so interesting to me how you are so worried about buying pools and getting your hair dyed and getting veggies for your fake garden, but you do not have a car seat for a baby that you're scheduled to have tomorrow. Where are your priorities? She cries about talking about how she doesn't want to be a bad mom, and I don't want to be a part of this pity party. This is where some of you all may get upset with me. You obviously thought that you were doing okay as a parent because not only did you plan to have another child, you purposely planned it to be back to back. You even said that you wanted your children to grow up kind of like as close as how you and Tammy are in age. So if it were up to you, you would have had him even sooner, because I remember when you were disappointed previously about not being pregnant yet. You know that you have diabetes. You know that you have high blood pressure. You know that you've had a gastric surgery. You know that you're not at an ideal weight. You knew what you were getting into. So I cannot feel sorry for you because now you're worried. You should have thought about all of that before you had a child. And I'll be honest, she's probably going to do fine. You're not by yourself. You have Michael. It seems like you guys have a really good support system in your families. So all of this crying and stuff, to me, it's not, I feel like a little bit of it is hormonal, and I feel like a little bit is a pity party because Amy likes attention. They keep talking about what if something goes wrong, kind of making us feel like something is going to go wrong, but I already knew that TLC was playing with us. They give a shot of Michael and Amy preparing to leave, and they're standing side by side, and Michael looks more pregnant than Amy does. His stomach is rounder and appears to be harder than Amy's. Amy talks about how scared she is. Once again, Amy, you planned this, but I'm going to say that any type of surgery in labor is difficult. A woman's body goes through a lot during birth, so I'll try to show a little bit of empathy for you because some of us have been there, and yes, it is scary. Chris and his wife come to see Amanda. Amanda, my OCD be kicking in at the weirdest times, y'all. Like, even in here when I'm filming, there's a lot of things that irritate me because I see certain things. And so when they got to Amanda's house and we see her sitting in the recliner and she has these big red comforter blankets, I want to ask, where are the chair covers? Dumb, I know, but these are the thoughts that go in my head, and I actually wrote that in my notes. Don't judge me. Just giving you a little bit of cue about how I think. Amanda says it's 10-something and she hasn't heard from Amy. Tammy calls and and says, have you heard from her? And she says no. And then they talk about the complications that she had with Gage, his sugar, and all that other stuff. Then Tammy talks about missing birth. We then come back from a commercial break to see Michael, and we find out that everything went great with the birth. I wish TLC would stop playing with us. The baby was 5 pounds, 11 ounces. And as Amy is being rolled in from, I'm assuming, recovery, because normally after you have a cesarean, they don't bring you directly to your own private room. They have you in a little recovery thing, and then they may bring you in to your private room. Some hospitals, it really depends on the space they got. And I'm sure with the pandemic, they try to move people into their own area faster. We see that by the time she's rolling out and she's holding the baby, the clock that I saw in the background basically said 9:45 a.m. Stop playing with us and making it seem like it took forever for Amy to have this baby. Amy didn't get rolled back to even begin her procedure until after 7. So it's reasonable. There was nothing wrong. Amy thinks that Glenn has a lot of hair. I don't really think he does, but you know, I'm happy for her. Her baby is here and he's healthy, and that's what matters most. Amy then finally calls Amanda and Tammy, and Chris is there with his wife, of course, and she lets them know that everything is okay. And they all basically kind of shade Michael a little bit by saying that this baby is cute and that he looks more like Amy, which he does. Gage did come out looking just like Michael, and he is cute now. Amy is happy. She's holding her baby. Tammy tells her that she went from 534 pounds to 532 pounds. Amy gets slightly annoyed and says she doesn't know why Amy told her that, because it's about her son and his birth. It's not about that, which it's not that big of a deal. She didn't make a huge announcement. She was just letting you know. It's conversation to have. She was sitting on the toilet when you also call her about your son. So be grateful that she even answered the phone. 7 hours later, we see Amy crying that Michael has COVID and that the hospital kicked him out and that she has to be all alone with the baby. And she's crying. And I'm immediately annoyed, and I'm going to tell you why. She talks about how she has to do this all alone. Amy, this is not your first time having a child. I understand that you just had a cesarean. I understand that it isn't ideal circumstances because the baby has to be in the room with you all night rather than being in the nursery. So you're not going to be able to get the amount of sleep that you would. They're doing this because they could have possibly been exposed to COVID because Michael was holding the baby and all that other stuff. Amy is by herself until tomorrow. Tomorrow, she then goes to Amanda's. But Amy is acting as if she is now a single parent who has to do this all by herself. She was a little bit concerned about being exposed and her newborn baby being exposed, but she seemed like she was most concerned with the fact that she has to do it by herself. Amy is lazy. And a lot of you are going to disagree with me, but she's lazy. And I'm saying she's lazy because I pay attention to when they show different scenes at the household. I pay attention to how messy the house is. I see all the different things. Y'all just moved into this house. Why does this house look like this? Even the way that you guys put up decorations, it looks like you just tossed them up on the wall, which is fine. Everybody's not like super into home decor, but your home is messy. The bottom of the baby's feet are dirty. When you were playing outside with Gage and Gage was rolling around all in the dirt and stuff, you could tell that his diaper was really heavy. You can tell that it needed to be changed. You can tell that they're really, it doesn't seem like they put forth a lot of effort in their appearance. It just seems to me like because you wake up and you change him and you have to chase behind him a little bit, that's not an excuse for why you rely so much on other people. Even as far as Michael's concerned, does Michael still have his job, or did he quit his job? Because Michael's around a lot, and you and Michael go back and forth a lot about taking care of the baby, and I think that that's awesome. But Amy, you have a support system. Gage is currently with Michael's mom. You have siblings who are there for you. You have Amanda. Amanda got a whole bunch of boys, and it seems like a lot of them still live with her. What is the issue? Why are you acting like it's the end of the world and like you don't know what you're going to do and the woe is me thing? I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after this that we find out that Amy may have postpartum, and it is warranted. I'm not going to act like it's not. What I am going to say, though, is Amy is dramatic, and it's too early for her to be breaking down like this. You are a woman. The universe has made us to be strong, resilient people who can handle things that sometimes, if I'm being honest, men just can't do. So, Amy, you have this. Stop feeling so defeated and feeling like you can't do it, because you can. And if you can't, you have family that's willing to step in. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you. For those of you who would take the time to even watch this video, I appreciate you. Until next time.